And now, with all the very latest from around the world and here at home this Sunday evening, it's the ITV News.
One minister loses his job. Could other Labour politicians be caught up in the scandal over offensive WhatsApp messages? Andrew Gwynn was sacked as health minister. The government is investigating alleged anti-Semitic, sexist and racist posts in a group chat.
As a matter of principle, if somebody else has been involved in that sort of stuff, any member of the party, should they be suspended?
Well, I think that's what the investigation which is now taking place will determine.
Also tonight, Israeli troops withdraw from a key stretch of Gaza, allowing more Palestinians to return home. A rallying call from Prince Harry at the launch of his Invictus Games.
In this moment of difficulty and division in many parts of the world, we gather here in Vancouver in a spirit of unity.
He's not missing today.
And giant killers Plymouth stun Liverpool in the FA Cup.
This is ITV News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. How many Labour figures could be affected by a scandal which has already seen one minister fired? That is a crucial question tonight as the government investigates a WhatsApp group in which the now former health minister, Andrew Gwynn, posted what he admitted were badly misjudged messages. They reportedly included sexist remarks about Deputy PM Angela Rayner and racist messages about Labour MP Diane Abbott. Mr Gwynn was sacked and suspended, but there are reports that more Labour officials, including at least one other MP, were in the group. With the latest, here's our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan.
Andrew Gwynn has been fired from his job as Junior Health Minister and suspended from the Labour Party over a series of offensive WhatsApp messages for which he has now apologised. The question for the Labour Party is who else was in that WhatsApp group and what did they say? There is apparently another MP on this group. Should they also be suspended if they made similar remarks?
Now, I don't personally know the details of who else is on those WhatsApp chats, what was said.
As a matter of principle, if somebody else has been involved in that sort of stuff, any member of the party, should they be suspended?
Well, I think that's what the investigation which is now taking place will determine. I don't know the details about who's on it. I think it would be inappropriate for me to comment, even if I did.
Andrew Gwynn's alleged comments had included wishing one elderly constituent would die before the next elections and another would be hit by a bin lorry. There were comments about Diane Abbott, which had been described as racist, and offensively sexist comments about Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner. And of a person with a Jewish-sounding name, Gwynn apparently wrote, "He sounds too militaristic and too Jewish. Is he in Mossad?"
Did anyone challenge that? Is action going to be taken against other people on that group? Was anybody else saying similar things? Look, there are a lot of unanswered questions, but this is the same old anti-Semitic Labour Party as far as we can see.
At least one more member of Parliament is reported to have been in the WhatsApp group, along with a number of councillors and party officials from around the Manchester area. Although in Gwynn's constituency, Labour voters were deeply unimpressed.
Very disappointing, and to be racist in a semi-joke, it's still racist.
Very disappointed because I had a lot of respect for him as an MP.
Do you think that the party have done the right thing, though, by sacking him and suspending him from the party?
Absolutely. You've got to have a zero tolerance for stuff like that. It's not what our community is about at all.
Yesterday, Andrew Gwynn said, "I deeply regret my badly misjudged comments and apologise for any offence I've caused." Although suspended from Labour, he said he would continue to support the party.
Well, Carl, the Prime Minister will be hoping he's done enough to control the situation.
Yeah, he certainly will, and he moved very swiftly against Andrew Gwynn. But if it is the case that there are 24 people that were in this WhatsApp group, Keir Starmer can have no confidence whatsoever that there won't be more embarrassing revelations due to come out of it, albeit from more junior members of his party.
All right, Carl, thank you. Well, next tonight, Israeli officials have arrived in Qatar for talks about extending the ceasefire in Gaza. The first stage of the current deal, which includes the release of some of the Israeli hostages held by Hamas, runs for another 3 weeks. As part of that agreement, Israel today withdrew its forces from a key corridor which split Gaza, allowing many Palestinians to return home. Charlotte Cross reports.
For months, the Netzarim corridor linking northern and southern Gaza has been off limits. But today it was near gridlocked after the Israeli military withdrew and Palestinians who had been forced to flee with everything they own could finally return home. This man was among those displaced to the south by the fighting. But this, he says, is where his life is centred. But for many, there's little to return to. Homes and buildings left in ruins by more than a year of war. The fighting, though, is on pause as both sides continue to honour a fragile ceasefire. The withdrawal from Netzarim was part of that agreement, while hostages and prisoners on both sides have been released. Today, 5 Thai men taken captive by Hamas were reunited with their families.
I'd like to thank everyone who helped secure our freedom. Standing here today would not have been possible without their efforts. We are deeply grateful to be back in our homeland.
Yesterday, 3 more Israeli hostages were also released, but their condition, appearing thin and frail, has sparked concern over the welfare of those still being held. And as negotiations get underway in Qatar on how to reach stage 2, which would involve a permanent end to fighting, many in Israel are calling on their Prime Minister to ensure the ceasefire is extended so everyone still alive can return home.
He got to bring them back home with this hostage deal. We've got to have the second step. We've got to have all back home.
Rebuilding works in Gaza aren't planned until stage 3 of the ceasefire. And right now, that feels a long way off for those who call it home. Charlotte Cross, ITV News.
Donald Trump says he's spoken to Russian President Vladimir Putin about negotiating an end to the war in Ukraine. The US president has previously said he could help bring a swift end to the conflict, which is approaching its 3rd anniversary. In an interview with the New York Post, Mr. Trump claimed Putin wants to see people stop dying. The Kremlin would not confirm or deny reports of the call. Well, this week, ITV News international editor Emma Murphy interviewed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky about the war. You can watch that full interview on ITVX. Police in Ireland are questioning a suspect after what appears to be a series of random stabbings in the capital, Dublin. 3 men are being treated in hospital, 2 of them with serious injuries. After the incidents this afternoon in the Stony Batter district, police arrested a 20-year-old man close to the scene. Prince Harry has called on competitors in the Invictus Games to overcome a moment of division in much of the world. With Meghan by his side, the Duke launched the Games in Vancouver with the help of some other famous faces. Coldplay's Chris Martin and Katy Perry were among the performers at the opening of the 7th edition of the competition for injured military veterans, as Jay Akbar reports.
Roaring to life in Canada, the biggest Invictus Games to date. Featuring more than 500 athletes from 23 nations.
We gather here in Vancouver in a spirit of unity.
Thousands attended the opening ceremony, headlined by Katy Perry. Coldplay's Chris Martin warmed up the crowds with Viva La Vida, and in The Serviceman, he may have found his 2 biggest fans. Among the stars, a true show of strength from Master Corporal James Gendron. He once said he'd never play the pipes again, having done so often for fallen soldiers. Prince Harry founded the Games in 2014 for wounded service personnel and veterans like James. It was at the Games 8 years ago we first saw him in public with then-girlfriend Meghan Markle. They've since started a new life in California, one that was supposedly at risk until new US President Donald Trump rolled back on threats to deport him over his past drug use. The couple responded with this public display of unity before Harry made these thinly veiled remarks on stage.
When there is no shortage of crises, no lack of weak moral character in the world, the values you embody illuminate a path forward for us all.
Huge ovation. Big ovation.
Formalities aside, even Prince Harry couldn't resist cheering on Team United Kingdom. The party continued backstage, where Canadian singer Nelly Furtado took a selfie video with Meghan Markle before she and Harry rode off into Invictus Day 2. Jay Akbar, ITV News.
Well, to football, and it's been a day of cup shocks. Rangers were at home to Scottish Championship side Queen's Park, but they went behind in the second half. Rangers nearly saved the game late on, but keeper Callum Ferry pulled off a superb save. And there was another giant killing today in the English FA Cup. Premier League leaders Liverpool were up against Plymouth Argyle, rock bottom of the Championship. Chris Scudder watched the action.
Young and old, the Plymouth faithful, rock bottom of the Championship, did not see this coming. Arne Slot rested his star names, and how he regretted it. Liverpool's younger faces were about to learn a lesson. This was the moment it all went pear-shaped.
That's a penalty.
A clumsy handball from Harvey Elliott, penalty to Plymouth, and Ryan Hardy scored the goal he'll cherish for the rest of his career.
Well, who saw this coming?
Then it was about hanging on, and remarkably the club with the worst defensive record in the top 4 divisions kept Liverpool out.
That was a chance.
Amid unbearable tension, the Green Army prayed they would hold firm, but as Liverpool threw everything at them in the closing minutes,
what a save!
Plymouth keeper Connor Hazard refused to buckle.
He's made another terrific stop.
And that was that, a famous cup giant killing.
The FA Cup weaves its magic once again.
We all came the day we had a dream, and the dream was getting to the next round, and we've done it, so I don't know what to say, to be honest. We've done it.
They'll remember this one for a long time, the day they knocked mighty Liverpool out of the FA Cup. Chris Scudder, ITV News.
And across the Atlantic, it's the biggest night of the year in American football, the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs are aiming to be the first side to win 3 successive titles. Standing in their way, 2017 champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. You can watch the build-up and action live from New Orleans on ITV1 and ITVX from 10:45 tonight. But that's all from us for now, from all the team here. Good night.